everyone. Welcome to another episode of Deliberately Intentional with me, Remy Fagbon. Today's topic is friendship with your exes. This topic came up from a question that a friend of mine had posed to me came via social media, but she sent me a post that someone else had sent her regarding friendships with exes. And of course, that got me thinking, this being a really good topic. Whether we like it or not, let me start from, I don't even know where we start from. There should be some type of separation between your friends and your relationship. If you're talking about just dating, we're not talking about marriage. Let's just talk about dating. I believe firmly that because I've always, at least in my life, I've always had them be very, very separate. So I don't have exes that are really close friends of mine. I am always cordial, meaning we can see each other on the street and say hello, I'm not going to run across the street if I see you anywhere. I'm always cordial. However, I don't have anyone's number. I don't really want to have their number either. I feel that other than my husband, now when you get to husbands, it's a little different. But let me finish with the dating part. If we didn't work out, if we didn't work out in a relationship, why would I want to continue to be friends with you and now make them even more complicated when I get into another relationship? How does that work exactly? So for me, I've always felt that there's just a nice, even medium of keeping the paths very, very separate. I've had my exes, of course, reach out and, want to stay in contact, but I don't really see the point. And let me explain why. Every time you see me, especially if you've had relations, we've had sex, of course it's going to come up in your mind again. Of course it's going to come up in probably even my mind again. If it was great or even if it was bad, it's going to come up in your mind regardless. Everything you've done with a person or any experience you've had with a person, when that person flashes across your screen, your memory as a normal human being, it doesn't matter where you are, it's going to come up. Now, depending on where you are in your personal life, let's say you're having a bumpy phase and you now have this one person come back up, your mind is going to automatically think back to a good time with that person. You won't remember that you broke up with the person for a reason. You're going to remember all of the good things in between while you're having that bad patch, if that person just happens to pop up. So why would I want to keep that around me? When you get married, it's a little different. When you get married and let's say you have a divorce and you have kids, well, see, it gets a little complicated because you're going to have to be in contact with that person all the time in regards to your kids. So in that regard, you will need to navigate that a little differently. You may need to maintain that friendship in order for you to have a good semblance of a relationship for your kids' sake. However, even with that, if you've had good moments in your relationship, something my husband says to me all the time, my husband says, if we ever, God forbid, this was back when we were younger, when he said, if we ever get divorced, I'm still going to come find you. I'm like, well, why can't you work with the relationship now and make it work? Why do you have to come and find me when I've moved on? It's just a joke we used to play, but it happens to be true. Sometimes it's when you've lost something that you realize that you really, really needed it or wanted it, or you didn't realize what you had at that point in time. So it jeopardizes your current relationship and it makes things a little tricky. I say all the time that when my son starts to date, because of how friendly and caring I am, I know that I'm going to probably have many different relationships with each girl that he ever dates. But I also realize, and I say very clearly, that I know that the minute those relationships end, because he's my number one priority, I have to pull back a little bit on those relationships as well, because it makes it difficult for the next person. Imagine me being super friendly and super nice to every single girl that he's dated just because I happen to have that personality. It's going to make the person that he eventually was like, oh, who's this person? Oh, that was his ex 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. It just makes for a complicated world. And so for you as a person, if you don't have friends of your own, you're going to have a problem separating from that relationship because that was the only person that you've done any number of things with. For me, I never had that problem because I had a vast number of experiences with my friends, and then my relationship was something different. It's supposed to be different. You're supposed to have your friendships and your relationships. When your relationships turn into marriage, you should still have friendships, because there are going to be moments within your marriage that you're going to need maybe a little space or just something to do with other people and people to talk to, but you've got to find that balance. So for me, it's a no. I heard of someone that went to an ex's wedding. I wouldn't be going to any ex's weddings. Especially if I was single. No. I wanted to be married to you. So why would I come to your wedding? And how can I come to your wedding in good faith, knowing that I wanted to be married to you at one point in time? I don't get it. But I understand that it's different for each and every one of us. Let me leave everyone with this question. Would you go as a single woman to your ex's, single woman or man? Let me rephrase that. Here's the question I'm going to leave everyone with. Would you go to the wedding of your ex, male or female, if you yourself are still single? Now, the only wedding I think I'd ever go to is if, let's say, my husband, God forbid, were to marry somebody else and we're still connected because of our son. Of course, I'd probably go to his wedding. But I don't think I'd go to anybody else's. Anybody else getting married, I'd wish them well from afar and I'd keep it moving. But what would you do? Are you friends with your exes? Can you honestly say that you're, with a clear conscience, with no lies in your heart, fully 100% friendly with these people when you know that you wanted to be that person? It's a hard question to ask, and you have to dig deep to be able to answer it honestly, but I would love to hear. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into another episode, this time dealing with exes. Thank you, producer Mara, for your help as always. And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. Catch you next Wednesday.